Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're going to be looking at what happens when you suddenly come into a lot of money. We have this video here that breaks down a lot of really good points about what to do if you suddenly become rich, whether it's winning the lottery or a big inheritance or something like that. So let's jump right into it.
Yeah, a lot of people think, champagne and caviar. But this video actually says, no, 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 no. You got to be a little more careful with how you approach sudden wealth.
Yeah, the very first thing they say to do is keep it quiet, which kind of seems counterintuitive. You'd think you'd want to tell everybody, hey, I won the lottery.
Yeah, it's a natural reaction, but just think about it for a second. All those distant relatives you haven't heard from in years are going to come knocking. Your friends are going to have all kinds of investment opportunities for you.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. You're kind of setting up a buffer to give yourself time to think rationally.
Exactly. So you're not making decisions based on external pressures. And once you have had some time to think about it, the next step is to pay off any debt you have.
Makes sense. Sort of a financial reset.
Right. And they also say, don't take on any new debt.
Hmm. Even though you can afford it now, why would that be?
Well, it's about developing good financial habits.
Yeah.
You want to transition to long-term thinking about your money.
So you're not just focused on spending it all right away.
Right. It's about shifting your mindset about money.
Okay, so that's really interesting. They also say that you shouldn't quit your job.
At least not immediately.
Yeah, I think a lot of us dream about winning the lottery and then saying, take this job and shove it.
Yeah, I get that. But
Mm-hmm.
when you think about it, your job gives you structure and routine. And when your life is suddenly so different, that structure and routine are even more important.
That makes sense. It's a lot of change to handle at once.
Exactly. It lets you get used to things without making a bunch of rash decisions.
Mm.
I mean, sure, quitting your job sounds good, but if you think about it long term, it might not be the best idea.
So what should you do with all that time if you're not quitting your job? The video says to learn about personal finance.
Yeah, and investing.
Which makes sense because if you suddenly have all this money, you don't want to just blow through it all.
A lot of people in this situation have never had to manage so much money. They need to learn how to handle it.
It's like suddenly getting a fancy race car. You wouldn't just hop in and start driving without knowing what to do.
Exactly. You need to learn how to manage your finances, or you might end up broke.
So you're saying don't be one of those lottery winners who lose it all.
Exactly.
Okay, so what if you inherit the money from someone who is already rich? Someone who obviously knew what they were doing.
That's a great question. The video says to think about keeping their financial advisor.
So you're inheriting more than just the money. You're getting their expertise, too.
Right. Someone who knows how to manage large sums of money.
That makes a lot of sense. So while you're getting all that financial stuff figured out, they do say that you should improve your lifestyle, but not go crazy.
Yeah, no wild spending sprees.
They give this example of athletes who buy huge mansions and end up house poor.
Yeah, it's a classic cautionary tale.
All that money, but they don't know how to manage it.
Right. So the idea is to enjoy your wealth, but don't fall into the trap of spending all of it.
Makes sense. And then, of course, you've got all the friends and family coming out of the woodwork.
Oh yeah, asking for money.
Or they've got these can't-miss business ideas.
You want to help people, of course. But it can get really tricky when you start mixing money with relationships.
Especially with family. You kind of feel obligated to help them.
The video says to remember that you are not a walking ATM.
Good advice.
Because even if you have good intentions, it can really mess up your relationships.
Yeah, can create weird power dynamics.
And if things go bad, it can damage those relationships forever.
And the video also says you shouldn't start your own business right away either.
Unless you have a really good plan.
It's tempting because now you have the money to do it.
But most new businesses fail.
Like 9 out of 10, they said. So just because you have money doesn't mean you'll be successful.
Right. You need to be just as careful as you would be if you didn't have the money.
So the main theme here is to not get caught up in the excitement.
And avoid making any big decisions without thinking them through.
And you also have to be ready for how your life will change.
Yeah.
More money means more attention.
More lawsuits. More scams.
People will come after you for money. It's a whole different world.
That's why you need good people around you. People you can trust.
Yeah, you need a good support system to help you through all this.
And don't forget to take care of yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's important. With all this focus on finances, it's easy to forget about your health.
Right. Now you have the resources to eat healthier, exercise more, get better health care.
Yeah, you can finally afford that gym membership. But seriously, it's a good reminder that wealth isn't just about money.
It's about your well-being, too.
So to make all of that work, the video mentions this 5% rule.
Yeah, it's a simple concept, but really smart.
Remind me how it works again?
You invest your money to get about 5% return each year, and you only spend that 5%. That way your main investment never goes down.
So it's like a tree that grows money.
Exactly. And you're only spending the fruit from the tree, not the tree itself.
Interesting. Okay, we are just about out of time for this part, but next time we'll dig into that 5% rule a little more and talk about protecting your kids from all this money and all the crazy ways sudden wealth can affect your relationships. See you next time.
See, Shia? It's really all about creating a sustainable approach to managing your newfound wealth.
Right, and that's where that 5% rule comes in. We talked about it a little bit at the end of last time, but I think a lot of people are probably unfamiliar with it.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, actually. The goal is to set up your investments. So you're getting about a 5% return every year,
Okay.
and then you only live off of that 5%. So the principal amount of your investment stays the same.
So basically, you're getting a 5% raise every year.
That's a good way to put it.
And if you do it right, you could theoretically live off of that forever.
Yeah, it's like having a money tree.
And you're only harvesting the fruit.
Exactly. You're not chopping down the tree.
But what kind of investments can you make to get that kind of return?
Well, it depends on a lot of factors. But you'd want a diverse portfolio. Stocks, bonds, real estate, things like that.
So you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Right. And of course, there's always some risk. The market goes up and down.
So you're saying it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Exactly. You need to be paying attention and making adjustments.
And that's where a good financial advisor can help.
Right. They can help you create a plan that fits your goals.
Okay, so let's move on to something else this video talks about. Protecting your kids from all this money.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
You want them to be financially secure, but you don't want to spoil them either.
Exactly. You want them to learn how to be responsible with money.
And this video suggests using trusts.
Yeah, trusts are a great tool for this kind of situation.
But a lot of people probably don't even know what a trust is.
Well, it's basically a legal way to hold and manage assets for someone else.
In this case, your kids.
Right. And you can set all sorts of rules for how the money is used.
So like you could say they can't access it until they're a certain age.
Right. Or until they graduate college. Or get married.
Yeah.
Or start a business.
So you're kind of giving them a safety net, but also making sure they don't go crazy with the money.
Exactly. It's about setting them up for success.
And speaking of setting people up for success, we have to talk about relationships. Because, let's be honest, money can really mess things up.
Oh yeah, big time.
And this video actually warns against cheating on your partner, which you'd think wouldn't even need to be said.
You'd think so, but the reality is, when you suddenly have a lot of money, it can create all sorts of temptations.
So it really puts your relationships to the test.
For sure.
And it's not just romantic relationships. Your friendships can change too.
Yeah, people might start treating you differently.
Or maybe they're just using you for your money.
It's hard to know who to trust.
So it's more important than ever to stay true to
To
yourself.
your values, to the things that really matter in life.
And to remember that money isn't everything.
It's a tool, but it's not the answer to everything.
And that's a good place to leave it for now. We'll pick up this conversation next time and talk about some more of the challenges and opportunities that come with sudden wealth.
It's a lot to think about, isn't it? We've been talking about all this sudden wealth stuff, and it seems like there's a lot more to it than just, buying a yacht and calling it a day.
Yeah, it's really about taking a holistic view. It's not just about the money, it's about your whole life.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think were the most important takeaways from this video?
Well, one thing that really stood out to me was the idea of taking your time, resisting those impulsive urges.
Yeah, like that whole keep it quiet thing at the beginning.
Exactly. Give yourself time to adjust to your new reality.
Before you go out and make a bunch of decisions you might regret.
Exactly.
It's like you're stepping off a roller coaster.
Yeah,
And you need a minute to get your balance back.
I like that analogy. And the other thing I would say is don't lose yourself. It's
Yeah.
easy to get caught up in all the excitement, all the new possibilities, especially when everyone's coming at you for money.
Right. But you have to remember who you are, what your values are.
What really matters to you?
Exactly. Don't let the money change you.
That's great advice. So to all of you listening out there, what would you do if you suddenly became rich? Would you take this advice? Or would you go out and buy that island you've always dreamed of?
It's something to think about, even if you never win the lottery. These are good principles to live by.
That's a great point. It's about being intentional with your money, no matter how much you have.
Exactly.
Well, this has been another fascinating deep dive. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep those financial fires burning brightly.